It's all good. We are live. Welcome to episode 3 of The Word. This is a milestone. Let me explain. Did you know that most small businesses and podcasts fail before their fourth episode? Before their third episode. So we've actually surpassed. We can basically ride this podcast all the way to the bank at this point, which is good.
House money, baby.
We're playing with house money. This is The Word. I'm James Mundia, joined by Richard Bruce Mirren Abernathy. Let me tell you something.
You continue to outdo yourself with the fake names. I love it.
No, it's Richard Bruce Abernathy for those of you that are keeping score at home. But we are going to provide fake names for each episode. That's the real winner of the Super Bowl is Helen Mirren. I know I'm skipping ahead in the show rundown here. If we had one,
Well, you should have just put it in the A's. Don't put it in the C's. Put it in the A's.
I was thinking before we went on air tonight, what if that became a trend? What if chicks started to become classically trained Shakespearean actresses and talk really dignified about not drunk driving? I think that would be a great BuzzFeed article. The top 10 Helen Mirren clones. I'm just grasping at straws at this point. Am I on?
Just add it to the list of her accomplishments.
Shout out to that commercial, which it was released before the Super Bowl, and shout out to her. Okay, so short show tonight. We've got to recap. Rich and I correctly predicted the exact score of the Super Bowl. We predicted the winners. Rich predicted the game plan that was ultimately successful for the Broncos, which is who we picked, the both of us. We did not pick the Panthers. I did not say at the end of the show it's going to be 28-14 Carolina. Where did that number even come from? And then
listen, most podcasts fail before the third episode, so that second episode doesn't even exist.
That's true. It's actually not on YouTube. And speaking of the previous episodes, I'm continuing my haircut strike. I don't know what it is that I am striking for or against, but it is continuing on. Okay, so let's talk Super Bowl. Then we're going to talk. I got to watch on mute a great Louisville press conference. How are these people even allowed to administer college athletics after this whole thing? And a new segment on the show, if we have time, which is, we are good. Classic YouTube clip. This is, it's funny. We used to do this before the original Word, and we never actually shared these clips with
I know where I'm going.
No, I know where you're going, and I've actually already put it in the rundown. So, but we don't even need that anymore.
Oh.
Okay. Super Bowl, both of us, North Carolina natives. I can't really say I'm a North Carolina native.
Yeah.
But I am.
Can you dig it?
I can. And I was raised in North Carolina, so we're both a little disappointed at the outcome. But there is a silver lining to this that was brought up. Actually, my dad.
There is?
Yes. My dad brought it up during what looked like it was going to be a long game for us. But more related to the show, the silver lining being that you were 100% correct in how the game was going to go. But that, of course, is not a surprise to anybody who follows the Rich Abernathy movement, in which the extra week of preparation.
I hate being right sometimes, James.
You're right all the time. You're like Hannity and Combs and Bill O'Reilly wrapped up into one. Which, okay, no,
I said right. Not wrong.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we didn't get to cover our
That's
we
a
didn't get
joke.
we didn't get to do our election coverage, but we'll get to that. So you saw it coming, but we still had optimism. You knew they were going to shut down Cam Newton. You knew that they were going to, put 8-9 guys in the box. And
well, they didn't really have to do that. They stopped the run without it. That was the problem. I thought that the Panthers would still be able to run the ball, and they couldn't. And it allowed Denver to kind of tee off. But really, more than that, I mean, I think they just committed another pre-snap penalty and fumbled again.
Wow.
2 minutes ago. Like they played their worst possible game at the worst possible time, and Denver took advantage. And Denver caused some of those mistakes, and caused some of the penalties, and obviously caused some of the turnovers. But it was just they just didn't play like they had played all year. And I don't know who that team was. I don't know if the real Panthers were in prison in Alcatraz and that was a group of imposters. I don't know what was going on. But they had really never played that way all year long. Even the Atlanta game when they lost, it wasn't like that. It wasn't because of mistakes. They just couldn't quite get anything going, just sort of misconnecting on a couple of plays. But they got manhandled on the line of scrimmage, offensively. And the defense did their part, though. Panthers D, on drives really only gave up 6 points other than when, Broncos scored directly or had the ball in field goal range already. So the D held its end of the bargain up, and the offense just couldn't quite get anything going or couldn't get out of its own way when they did.
So the other silver lining to this game, of course, besides the fact that you predicted it, and we both predicted the correct winners, obviously, is do you see, and I hope that this happens, but I have my doubts. Do you see this as that kick in the pants, that reality check for a Panthers team that's very talented, obviously is expected to probably win the NFC South again next year? Do you see this as their, well, I can't say Waterloo because that's not even a correct historical analogy. But do you see this as that moment where they say, okay, well, we got here. It hurts to lose. That shot of one of the players crying as the confetti is coming down towards the end, which is TV gold, I guess. It's kind of hard to watch, even if you aren't supporting that team. But do you see this as that moment? Is this, because I was a little bit concerned about Cam Newton's demeanor. Now, of course, that's cherry picked by the camera. But do you see this as that moment where they say, you know what, this stinks to be here and lay an egg, like you said? Are we going to use this as ultimate motivation?
I feel like it's very, I don't know if cliche is the right term necessarily, but it feels like you hear that a lot of like, oh, we don't want to have this feeling again. It just feels very contrite, perhaps to say that.
Okay.
And, I think some teams might look at a situation like that and think, okay, like Denver 2 years ago, okay, we got to change. We have to change who we are or how we built this team. And I really don't think that's where the Panthers are.
Ooh.
I think, well, no, I think if they had played the way they were capable of playing, now obviously there are some areas they need to improve, but that was going to be the case whether they won or lost that game. I don't think they're going to radically change the formation or foundation of the team like the Broncos did. Because they really went from being an offense first, and some of that was just natural decline of Manning's skills and health. But they went out and really tried to load up on the defensive side of the ball. And, because that was sort of where they got killed in that Super Bowl against Seattle. I don't think the Panthers are going to shift to, all right, now we got to go and, we got to sign, Matt Forte. We got to, find another, big play receiver in free agency or spend our first round pick on a receiver. I don't think they're going to go that way. I think they're going to continue to build the team they have, try to keep some guys that they need to keep, Josh Norman, Mike Tolbert, a couple other, depth and special teams guys, improve the line a little bit, improve the pass rush.
Oh, did I lose Rich there?
It's hard. I forget exactly what the stat is, and the Seahawks couldn't quite do it. But if you lose the Super Bowl, it's really hard to get back the next year. It's just there's that hangover. There's that there's so many good teams, and there's so little margin for error to get to that point. But I think they're going to just try to be, like I said, a better version of themselves and keep doing this thing the way they've been doing it, and I hope the next year is enough.
That's actually the motto of this podcast. So we're actually modeling ourselves after the Panthers there. We're doing live. So here's actually one one player that they should sign. This goes back into word trivia, and I don't know if you remember this one, but we casually referred to him as the best player in the history of football, which of course is none other than. Can you see where I'm going with this?
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones, the Arkansas Razorback quarterback. Actually, that's a nod to the original creator of the early word, which this show is based on, Joe Hafera, who was texting me about this program. People are starting to realize, oh, there's a show going on. So he was chiming in. So, of course, Matt Jones is an obvious acquisition. Let's switch gears to college basketball. A lot of movement in the top 10. Carolina dropping 2 games. Duke trying to figure out who they are. I guess they kind of already know who they are. But the most interesting thing, of course, is this Louisville situation, which I'd forgotten about because it had been exposed as early as last season. Am I wrong in that? Had it not been rumored at least that there was this paid escorts thing? Here's what I don't understand. And stop me if I'm being dramatic here. So college campuses are basically saying, no, you know what? These recruits are coming into town. There's not enough hot girls on this gigantic college campus full of 18 to 22-year-olds. So we're going to go pay escorts? And not that they should be taking co-eds and making them do things with recruits that come in. But I just feel like, is the college experience on a trip not enough? You have to go out and risk people's safety with escorts? I feel like that's to me is why I'm amazed that these people are still. Nobody's been fired. I'm right? No one's been fired from Louisville or resigned even. I think, right? I'm looking for some clarification here.
I think one of the assistants was fired. The guy who was kind of in charge of the whole deal. I think he got the axe, but that's the way it goes.
Shout out to another great Twitter account, Assistant Coach Problems, ASST Coach Probs. Great Twitter account, and that kind of made me think about that. Oh, big scandal. Get rid of one of the assistants. I mean, maybe it was his whole idea in the first place. But we talked last week about college sports being a little bit out of control. I think I have a little bit more of an extreme view on that than you do. But how much longer are things like this going to be, in a certain way, swept under the rug or accepted? Or is this just part of it? Are we just going to have to just deal with this? Am I going to have to see Rick Pitino and college administrators with years of experience just try to justify or be preemptive in giving themselves a ban with stuff like this? Or maybe, or am I just cynical? What do you think?
No, I think that's the way it's going, that they're trying to, it's similar to the baseball negotiating strategy of, hey, we're going to pay you a little more up. We're going to get this out of the way early. We'll pay you more early to lock you up longer on the back end. It's the same type of thing. Where rather than wait for the NCAA to conduct their 18th month investigation or however long it takes, it always takes them way longer than it should for even the simplest things. But rather than wait that out and have it hurt recruiting, I mean, you as a Carolina grad and fan have seen that, in Chapel Hill the last couple of years with just that lingering effect of, is something going to happen? Is something going to happen? Is something going to happen? Just get it out of the way. Just go ahead and do it yourself. You could probably get out a little lighter. You do it on the front end. You know what the deal is. You could start game planning for what comes next rather than just waiting for that hammer to drop and just ruining a period of several years. Just rip it off like a Band-Aid, do it yourself, and get it done. I think it's the new skinny jeans. It's the new that's the new fad in college administration.
I want to see Rick Pitino in skinny jeans, Jordans, and a Chris Brown cardigan.
No offense to Pitino, but that's no.
Okay, well, next time he's at a casual event, hopefully he's not taking my advice. For those of us that are watching that aren't abreast of the situation, no pun intended, maybe. Louisville
there was one.
Louisville getting in trouble, or pardon me, actually giving themselves a 1-year postseason ban as the allegations that they used paid escorts for recruits when they came on campus to entice them to join the ACC basketball program. Doing a little bit of a preemptive strike, as Rich talked about just a second ago, and banning themselves from postseason play for a year. So I don't know if that means a calendar year or a basketball calendar year, which would mean just this season. But that's the topic here. And as I've said, I can't believe people are allowed to just administer college sports while this kind of thing is going on. But I don't know. Don't let me get too cynical when it comes to college sports. I'll go on forever. But
I think there's a bigger discussion here. I think one of the things we need to talk about, why is this the punishment? Why is this the solution?
This is what I'm saying. It's like, oh, we're just not going to play in the tournament this year. And the thing that drove me nuts, I was in a subway while this was going on, and I was just looking at some of the captions because it was muted. This whole thing of, oh, we just feel so bad for the players. What? Yeah, you feel bad for the players. They can't play postseason. Okay, and they're a good program. They're always going to be a contender to at least get there, if not go far. But you should not just feel bad and apologize to the players. You should apologize to yourself for looking like a complete moron, and then also resign or be fired. I just don't see. I mean, and maybe that's where you're headed. We did all this stuff with 17, 18-year-old kids. We brought in prostitutes essentially, and we're just not going to play in the tournament postseason. And yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off there. So I just that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and we're sort of of the same mind there, and I don't think it's necessarily disingenuous to say that they hate it for the kids, and that's not fair, because that's the truth. And I think any coach who's worth the salt, that's his first thought is the kids. But I also don't think that's the only reason. I mean, clearly it's not the only reason he's upset about it. He's choosing to approach that angle publicly in the media, but there has to be another. I can't think of another industry where the people who are punished are not the people who committed whatever crimes or sins or violated whatever rules. I'm sure it's not the only one. I'm sure there are plenty more out there. I'm just not thinking of it at the moment. But it seems very prevalent in college sports where, player A and player B did something, and now 3 years later, players C, D, and E are the ones who feel the brunt of that punishment. And I know there are limitations to what you can do, and you can't hop in the DeLorean and go back and punish the players at the time. And obviously, the administration is bears the brunt of that. But I think there has to be a if not a fairer way, a smarter way to handle these types of situations, because life ain't fair, as the saying goes. But it can be smart regardless. And I just don't think that whether you find Patino, whether it's limiting scholarships, limiting preseason tournaments, restricting travel budget, whatever, hey, they still get to play in the tournament, but they gotta sleep on the team bus. I don't know what it is. Like, there's got to be some outside of the box way to approach this thing where there's still some impact felt on the university. They forfeit whatever their cut of the NCAA tournament TV deal is for that year. There's got to be a way to do this. It's not like, yeah, you guys are staying home because of something that some other people did. It just doesn't seem right.
I've got the perfect punishment. This comes from my time coaching high school basketball, junior college soccer. They should just have to have a season with only those types of resources and players. Well, I guess they'd have to keep their current players, but they'd have to like coaches would have to drive vans to the games, like 4 or 5 hours, or for the ACC, you're going all the way up and down the East Coast. You would have to only be able to communicate with your players over text because they don't show up to team meetings. Let's see. You have to play in a community gym. Okay, I'm just going here. Anyway, but I agree, and I think here's how you do it. You do it the way they did with the college football playoff.
Well, it's like A wise coach named Newman Peoples once said to me, "Some players have as much game off the court as they have on it."
I think the problem with this show is there is too much history, because I had completely forgotten about Coach Newman Peoples. I am not even going to allow there to be any footage of that on this show. It exists. I've seen it on YouTube. We're discussing, of course, my.
Sure, wasn't the Master wasn't taped over for like a rave rerun or something?
Stop it now. We're not going down that road. We're, of course, referring to my cameo appearance. No, not even a cameo. I got an and.
Guest starring role?
No, it wasn't, because I was on multiple episodes. I got an and. You know, like they do the whole credits, and then you get an and it's me as Coach. Coach Peoples. I was I played a college basketball coach in our college's soap opera, General College. And okay, I can't. I'm not, seriously. We're not allowing that on the show. We're no footage of that, because it's embarrassing. Let's we got a short show. We got to wrap it up here. Yeah, I got to get back to the desk. Wow. But let's wrap up the show with something that we used to start the show with when we did this program in college, and we actually didn't have the technology. We were like James Cameron. We wanted to do Avatar. Technology wasn't there, so we had to wait 25, 30 years, maybe about 20 years for him. And we can now finally show this clip to everybody. Did we actually try to record like a VHS or SVHS of these YouTube clips and put them on the show? I don't even know if we did that.
I don't think we did. I just wasted your time during a pre-show meeting showing them to you on my laptop.
There's a phenomenal clip of us on Facebook where it's like clearly I'm like trying to start the show, which we did in a control room, because we didn't have like camera people. Nobody really wanted to be involved in STV for good reason. And I'm like trying to start the show.
Including us, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, we're not going to go down that road, but there's a great clip of like I'm like trying to do things and you're like got your hand on the mouse, like just like pulling up more YouTube clips. That being said, we're going to go ahead and go with our classic YouTube clip. I mean, who do we think we are? What do we think we are? We think we're Tosh.0, whatever. But we're going to actually finish it off here. We're going to go with, I think you know where I'm going, because you can't actually see my screen yet, Rich, right? You can't see it. I don't know how to use this thing. Is it? You can't see it, right?
I just have to guess.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's okay. Cool. We'll do it like that. Let's see here. All right. And we're going to bring this in here. Of course, the unbelievable classic grape stomp. I'm gonna actually bring the volume down a little bit. This is classic because you've got all the wonderful elements. You have the local news broadcast. She jumps in. And I guess they're trying to figure out how many grapes somebody can stomp to make wine.
The fascinating thing to me, this thing only has 17 million views. I think you and I have at least like 2.5 of those, but.
Oh, million each. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So now I've put it up on the bigger screen here. So this is where it gets interesting. We've got the competition. Let's just let it roll. I can't breathe.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I mean, this is the beginning of viral videos right here. I don't even know how do I put this back on. How do I remove the screen share? So, oh, there we go. I hit the stop button. Okay. Fulfilling my dream of trying to be Mystery Science Theater 3000 and live narrating over terrible clips. We should do that.
We're one step closer.
We are there. The technology is there. Classic YouTube clips. If you have suggestions, you can actually put them in the comments of the broadcast, either on our Google Hangouts, our Google Plus page, or in the comments of the actual video, which we posted on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to get those updates when we post new videos. Here's a crazy idea, Rich. I think we're going to start doing more videos or different videos beyond just the podcast. I don't know how.
So we're going like full-fledged Roman Empire. We're taking over the whole thing.
I don't see why not. And so not just clips of Grape Stomp. Of course, actually, the one I've got for next week is the one that I wanted to do this week, but I thought we should go real old school. Anyway, let's wrap up the show. We got to do a short show tonight. I've got to get back to the desk here. Let's look forward. Okay, we've gone 3 episodes in. We're still trying to figure out how to use a computer, because I don't even know how to use this Google Hangouts thing. I'm assuming that video was displayed for people watching, but I can't.
I saw it for whatever that's worth.
That's good. It's an audience of 1 or an audience of 2 with the 2 of us. So for people that are new to the broadcast, we do this every Monday evening. It is Tuesday. I know we couldn't do it yesterday, but we do it every Monday evening. It's available on our YouTube page.
Superbowl hangover.
Definitely. I actually hadn't eaten that much, and I know people say this like, "Oh, I didn't eat that much." I really was not prepared for, and we didn't do like a really lavish spread, but it was still a lot of food. So that, you got to recover from that. But we do this show.
I was at a Super Bowl party at my friend's house, and after the strip sack return fumble touchdown in the first quarter, I stood up from my seat, said it was fun, and walked out the door and got in my car and drove home. I'm not making that up. A really good friend of the program just pieced out. Almost didn't go in the first place. I'm very superstitious.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to watch the game at home against my better judgment. I went to my buddy's house. Very nice party, great spread. Wife's a pastry chef. They had some unbelievable food, but I had to leave it behind to try to pull the Panthers through. Failed, but I had to do what I had to do.
A very good friend of the program had a similar experience at the Patriots Super Bowl win, where he left the party that we were at. We were hosting the party. He wasn't obviously hosting with us, but he was attending. And so, of course, we got to FaceTime him after they won, which was good because it looked like he'd just been through like hell and back, but they won in that instance. So not necessarily analogous, but I figured I would just throw that out there.
You also had a story. Thanks for sharing, James. Sharing is caring.
True. This show is done in true millennial fashion. Oh, yeah. Well, I did a thing once. And how does this relate to me? So, like, can I talk about my thing? That's basically the premise of this podcast, essentially. So take it or leave it.
Like, you stop talking so I can say what I want to say, and then it's your turn. We're like KD and Rush sharing the basketball in crunch time. It's just your possession, my possession, dueling banjos.
Ooh, but with that, I would like to thank everybody for joining us for episode 3 of The Word. It's technically not a podcast, but we're going to keep calling it that until we figure out how to use iTunes, which is 100 times harder than anything I've ever tried in terms of getting something on there. But we'll be back next week. Who knows what will be happening in the world of sports? We actually mostly covered just sports, but of course we do sports news and stuff on the program. So thank you for joining us. For Richard, Bruce, Hunt, Abernathy, I'm James Mundia. We will see you next week.
Peace.
All right, I think it's